My name is Florrie White. I am a makeup artist based in London. Passport always ready to hand. I can't really remember a point when I knew I wanted to be a makeup artist, but I definitely remember the first time I saw little pots of makeup, and they were Bieber makeup in the 70s. And my mum, I remember sitting at the side of the sink, I don't know how I got up there, in my mum's bathroom, my parents' bathroom, and my mum transforming herself with these little pots of magic. I remember them. There was like 3 or 4. And there was like this sort of gloopy, sparkly magic that she was applying to herself and transforming from being my mummy into this sort of exotic creature. Then added a headband and a waft of Yves Saint Laurent opium perfume and went out into the night. I studied modern language at university, but always wanted to get into makeup. It was the era of the 90s, so the supermodels. And when I graduated, I still didn't know how to get into makeup. So I spent another few years doing various other jobs. At the age of 28, it was crucial. I'm not doing something I love. And that was when I bit the bullet and went to Glauca Rossi School of Makeup in northwest London. When I was at university, before and during, I would go and work in a bikini shop in Ibiza, and that is how I got to know Charlotte Tilbury and her family. So it was a lucky break, age 28, now maybe 29. I then quickly became her first assistant. So that was a great break, especially at my age, to suddenly doing a makeup course and suddenly being one of the best makeup artists in the world's first assistant. So after being a first assistant for over 2 years, you go out on your own. And because you've worked for someone in such high profile, I quickly was taken on by an agency and then really focused on high fashion, I would say, working for the top magazines like at the time it was Pop and Love, ID, Dazed, Confused. This is editorial. Don't really get paid, but then you do some money jobs. And I also at that point did a lot of shows. One of the best would be Mead & Kirchhoff, and they were sort of the hottest young designers in London. I think this is about sort of over 15 years ago, and I headed the team, sponsored by MAC Cosmetics, but headed the team. I think they did 10 years of their show. James Petchus was the head hairdresser, and it was the most creative time. I was definitely pushed out of my comfort zone. So did that, and then I think after about a few years, I was then with Bryant Artists. I did a makeup do and go, so a celebrity going on a red carpet for a premiere, and I just loved that adrenaline. So I used to get a lot of adrenaline from working on shows, and then suddenly it was walking into a room of a A-list Hollywood star, and you'd have 3 hours. You're working with a hairdresser, the stylist may not be there, stylist may still be in LA. And I just loved seeing a woman be transformed to like this beautiful, wonderful, yet again, that goes back to my mother putting on her makeup. We would transform her into this powerful, confident woman that not only looks incredible, but feels incredible. And so for about the last, I'd say maybe nearly 10 years, I'm not sure if it is that long, definitely 8, I have concentrated on being a celebrity makeup artist and travelling around the world with various actors promoting their films. And I love it because I think one of the reasons I love makeup is I love the confidence it can give to women, and I love the fact that I can give confidence to a woman. And I guess that goes back to me as a woman wanting to look and feel good and confident. I had worked in an office before I did my makeup course at the age of 28, so I know what it's like to have the Monday to Friday job. So as being a freelancer, I do love the freedom. I love the fact that there's no monotony. Every day is different, especially with my job, and I love that. But at the same time, you have to so while everything seems a bit sort of last minute and chaotic, you need to have some organised foundations. And when I first became a freelancer, there was one of my younger brothers, who used to call me up, pretending to be an accountant. Hello, is that Sarah Florence White? This is, I can't remember, Percy calling from whatever accounts, to make sure had I registered. And so I was always very good at writing down every job I did, the invoice number, whether it paid and ticked off, paying my taxes. You've got to do that because to save yourself from the headache and stress of not being organised. So whilst I love the freedom of freelance. You need to have some sort of grounding and organisation. I'm not the best organised person, but I do love everything written down in a notebook. Very old-fashioned. I'm sure these days it's all on an app. Benefits of being a freelancer and doing what you love, and I do really love what I do. I love makeup products, I love beauty products, I love working with these really interesting people, and not just the artists or the actors, it's the hairdressers, the stylists, the photographers, videographers. I love people, I'm a Gemini. So I love the colourful changes, the colourful differences of every job I've ever done. What else? I love being able to take things that I love, like my hobbies, which I love. I love going to museums, I love going to the cinema. And I generally like to do these by myself because I like to, if I see one thing, I will just hone in on it, whether it is, like the latest artist I saw was Cedric Morris, who I didn't know anything about, but the colours that were used, the hues of colours, I will say, I'll take photos of them and think, I'll use that as an eyeshadow or just a hue. I love taking influences from anything, but I love being able to use my hobbies as research for my job. So the industry is changing. One of the things that has changed is AI. I personally am a technophobe. However, I am keeping my ear to the ground, and there is a brilliant makeup artist, Alex Box. She has created, it's like she's taking control of AI, and she has created this wonderful program to do makeup at home, like you can do it on a computer. She has offered me a class, and I will definitely take her up on that. And also just this morning I was listening to Grace and Perry, a brilliant artist, so I love their art. They also use AI. And then there's a wonderful stylist, Simon Foxton. He gave me a couple of my first breaks. We're from the same hometown, Berwick-upon-Tweed. He does some incredible things with AI. So I need to, and I tell myself, I need to understand it before I panic about it, and so I can use it to benefit my work and not to be left behind. And also I remember people, when digital came in and we were still using film, people were panicking about that. And so I think there's going to be pros and cons, like there is everything, but I need to understand it and not be frightened of it. So I don't use it yet, but watch this space. So any advice I'd have to some young creatives, I would say do try and be individual. Look at references, but don't try and copy them. But you can take inspiration. I would also say, if you need a break in to get into the industry, look at people who you do admire and contact them. And people do want to have assistance and like to pass on knowledge. Don't ask me, if I'm a lone wolf, I like to work alone, I like to wash my own brushes. Contact agencies whose artists you admire. And it really is about working hard, being authentic. I truly feel privileged that I do something I love, but I've worked very hard for it. I've missed friends' weddings, my dad's 70th. I did put it first for a while, and I think you do have to show true dedication. And I think that's why I am still in the industry. I can't do maths, but I think it's 20 years, going on to my sort of third decade. And so it's about working hard, being authentic, and always having clean brushes.